When the clock strikes closer, the fragility of our improbable existence. If you've read The Improbable Ape, you know the astronomical odds we've overcome just to exist. From the precise calibration of our universe to the moon's peculiar formation, from genetic bottlenecks that nearly erased our species to the countless near misses throughout human history, we are the product of an almost impossible sequence of fortunate events. But here's the uncomfortable truth. All those billions of years of cosmic luck, all those narrow escapes from extinction, all that improbability that brought us to this moment, we could undo it in a matter of minutes. On January 27, 2026, the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists moved the Doomsday Clock to 85 seconds to midnight. 85 seconds. That's the closest humanity has ever been to self-annihilation since the clock was created nearly 80 years ago. Just last year, it stood at 89 seconds. The year before that, 90 seconds. We're not moving away from the precipice, we're racing toward it. What is the Doomsday Clock? The Doomsday Clock isn't an actual timepiece ticking away in some vault. It's a metaphor, a symbol, but one with profound weight. Created in 1947 by scientists who had worked on the Manhattan Project, including Albert Einstein and J. Robert Oppenheimer, the clock was designed to warn humanity about how close we are to destroying ourselves with technologies of our own making. When it was first revealed, just 2 years after the atomic bombs fell on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, it was set to 7 minutes to midnight. Midnight represents the apocalypse, the moment when Earth becomes uninhabitable, when our species' improbable journey comes to an end, not by asteroid or supernova, but by our own hand. Each year, the Bulletin's Science and Security Board, a group of distinguished scientists and experts, advised by 9 Nobel laureates, meets to assess the state of existential threats facing humanity. They consider nuclear weapons, climate change, biological threats, and increasingly, disruptive technologies like artificial intelligence. Then they decide, do we move the clock forward, closer to catastrophe, or can we pull it back, buying ourselves more time? The journey from 7 minutes to 85 seconds. The clock's movement over nearly 8 decades tells the story of our species' relationship with self-destruction. The farthest we've ever been from midnight was 17 minutes in 1991. The Cold War had ended. President George H.W. Bush and Soviet President Mikhail Gorbachev had announced massive reductions in their nuclear arsenals. The Strategic Arms Limitation Treaty was revived. For a brief, shining moment, it seemed humanity might step back from the brink. But that was 35 years ago. Since then, especially in recent years, the clock has crept forward with alarming speed. In 2018, it hit 2 minutes, matching its previous record from 1953, when the United States and Soviet Union began testing hydrogen bombs. In 2020, it moved to 100 seconds. In 2023, 90 seconds. Last year, 89 seconds. And now, 85 seconds. Think about that for a moment. 85 seconds. That's barely enough time to read this section of the article. That's how close the world's leading scientists believe we are to catastrophe. Why we're closer than ever. The reasons for this year's movement are chilling and multifaceted. First, nuclear threats are escalating. For the first time in over half a century, there are no effective treaties preventing a runaway nuclear arms race. The New START Treaty, the last major agreement limiting nuclear weapons between the United States and Russia, has expired without renewal. Meanwhile, Russia, China, and the United States are all expanding their nuclear arsenals, investing hundreds of billions of dollars in weapons that could destroy civilization many times over. As Daniel Holtz, chair of the Science and Security Board, put it, rather than heeding warnings to change course toward international cooperation, major countries have become even more aggressive, adversarial, and nationalistic. Second, the climate crisis continues to worsen. Atmospheric carbon dioxide levels and global sea levels have reached record highs. Droughts, fires, floods, and storms are intensifying and becoming more erratic. Despite knowing what needs to be done, global action remains insufficient. Third, and perhaps most insidiously, we're experiencing what Nobel Peace Prize laureate Maria Ressa called an information Armageddon. Artificial intelligence is supercharging the spread of misinformation and disinformation, making it harder to establish basic facts, let alone build consensus on solutions. As she said, without facts you can't have truth, and without truth you can't have trust.